The town of Hilldale in 1963 was a quiet little place in Anywhere, USA. On one of its peaceful streets stood the well-kept home of Dr. Alex Stone, a tall, handsome man with dark hair, always seen in his white lab coat. That morning, while most neighbors were still beginning their day, Alex was hard at work in the private clinic adjoining his home. His usual Wednesday golf game had been canceled, but he didn't mind. He was nearing the final phase of something far more important, a secret research project he had been working on for years. If he had secured funding from a major medical foundation, Alex might have completed his project a year earlier. But as a humble pediatrician in private practice, no grants had come his way. That meant he bore the costs himself, but it also meant that if his invention succeeded, the credit and the small profits would go towards something deeply personal, funding a new children's wing at the Hilldale Hospital. This machine wasn't about fame or fortune, it was about helping children. Alex had seen so many patients struggle with learning difficulties. Even his own son had challenges at school. Jeff Stone, handsome like his father with dark hair and a charming smile, had yet to shine in academics. Athletics and teenage distractions often pulled his focus away from his studies. Alex dreamed of Jeff becoming a doctor like him, but without help, Jeff's chances of getting into medical school seemed slim. His daughter Mary, on the other hand, had excelled. With her dark blonde hair and natural brilliance, she had been at the top of her class, landing on the dean's list at college. Alex and his wife Donna were proud of her. Still, Alex hoped his son would also have a future filled with achievement. This project was his way of leveling the playing field. A soft knock at the lab door broke his concentration. Donna Stone entered with her characteristic grace. Even early in the morning, she was perfectly polished in a blue suit, pearls around her neck, and her blonde hair styled flawlessly. Carrying a tray, she set down breakfast, coffee, bacon, eggs, toast, and jam. She apologized that it was a meager meal, since she had been busy preparing donations for the upcoming charity auction. Alex smiled warmly, pulling up stools so they could sit together. Between sips of hot coffee and bites of eggs, he explained, "Ever since Jonas Salk discovered the cure for polio, I've dreamed of leaving a mark on medicine. Something that would help not just one child, but thousands. This machine could be that legacy. It could give Jeff and countless others the focus they need to succeed." Donna offered words of encouragement to her husband. She had always believed in Alex. Even if his project never succeeded, she would still consider him a hero. As she was lost in thought, Alex's words brought her back. "I'll have the last circuit finished in about 5 minutes. Once it's done, all we'll need is Jeff and a volunteer to test the neural pathways." The thought of using their son as the first test subject made Donna uneasy. After a moment, she suggested softly, "Alex, maybe we should try the machine on ourselves first. That way, we'll know it's safe before involving Jeff." Alex paused. He knew Jonas Salk had tested the polio vaccine on himself and his family before releasing it to the world. Maybe it was fitting that he and Donna should take the same first step. He had dreamed of testing on lab animals, but that was far beyond his budget. Confident that nothing would go wrong, he agreed. Donna set the breakfast tray aside as Alex completed the wiring. Soon, the machine hummed to life, its lights flickering across the walls. Alex handed her a pill, explaining that it was designed to enhance neural signals so the machine could read and map them more effectively. He swallowed one too. He placed a set of specially modified plastic bowls with sensors on their heads. Donna hesitated for a second, concerned about her carefully styled hair, but then smiled. "If this works, it'll be worth the sacrifice." Alex's thumb hovered over the main switch. "Donna, are you sure?" "Yes, dear," she replied with calm certainty. "You built this machine. Nothing could go wrong." Alex pressed the button. Both slumped gently to the floor, unconscious. Donna was the first to awaken. She rubbed her forehead, trying to shake off a dull headache. When she opened her eyes, something strange caught her attention. She thought she saw her own reflection across the room, but the image wasn't moving with her. Blinking hard, she realized it wasn't a mirror at all. Her body was still lying on the floor. Confused, she staggered to her feet. The room spun with vertigo, forcing her to lean on the workbench. As the haze in her mind slowly cleared, the shocking truth sank in. She wasn't outside her body, she was in someone else's. She looked down at her hands. They weren't hers at all. They were larger, masculine, and covered by the sleeves of a lab coat. Donna gasped. She was staring out through Alex's eyes. Alex was awakened by the sound of a startled cry. His head pounded, but he forced his eyes open. What he saw made his mind spin. Across the lab, he saw himself standing up unsteadily. For a split second, he couldn't process how he could be sitting on the floor and standing at the same time. Then he looked down and saw a blue skirt, the hem pulled up around his knees, and the small hands that weren't his own. He gasped again. Donna, hearing the high-pitched shriek, looked down and saw the same familiar face she had seen in mirrors her entire life. For the first time, she wasn't behind that face. When she tried to speak, a deep voice came out instead. She realized, horrified, that she sounded like her husband. "Alex, is that you?" she asked nervously in the deeper voice that was now hers. It took Alex a full minute to gather himself enough to reply. "Yes, it's me. I don't understand what happened. All my research, all my calculations. I was trying to transfer some of my medical knowledge to you so you could become a nurse." He stopped and stared at his own face speaking back to him. Alex tried to stand but found the tight skirt and high heels impossible to manage. Donna hurried to support him with the newfound strength of her taller, broader frame. She slipped an arm around her husband's now slender waist, steadying him until he could stand on his own. Alex hadn't felt this helpless since a skiing accident in college had left him with 2 broken legs. Now, once again, he couldn't do anything without help. Even worse, he had to look up into Donna's eyes, but they were his eyes now. "There seems to be a problem with my learning machine," Alex said in Donna's soft voice. Even he realized it was a massive understatement. "We should change back before Jeff gets home from school." Donna nodded in agreement. Alex reached for the helmet, but realized that in Donna's smaller frame he was now shorter than she was. Donna carefully reattached the loose wires. As she did, she was surprised at how easily she understood the diagrams and wiring. The theory behind the machine suddenly seemed obvious to her. "Alex, dear," she asked in her deepened voice, "why do I have your medical knowledge while I'm in your body, but you still seem to have it while you're in mine?" Alex paused at the controls, thinking. Then it struck him. "I had adjusted the machine to transfer my medical knowledge to you. You've seemed a little restless since Mary left for college and Jeff will be gone in another year. I thought you might want a career as a nurse so we could work together. At least that part seems to have worked." Donna's heart softened. She leaned forward and kissed Alex's cheek, a gesture of gratitude more than romance. Alex instinctively stepped back. The sight of a man leaning in, even if it was his wife's soul inside, startled him. Donna noticed his expression. "What's the matter, Alex? Don't you love me anymore?" she asked gently. Alex fumbled nervously with the dials on his invention, nearly snapping one of the long painted nails that now adorned his unfamiliar hands. His mind was spinning. He had spent 20 years as a husband, a doctor, a father, and never once imagined seeing the world from his wife's perspective. Now, trapped in Donna's elegant frame, he struggled to adjust. "I'm sorry for being short with you," Alex said, his voice softer and higher than he expected. "But this should never have happened. The sooner we're back in our own bodies, the better." Donna gave a reassuring nod. Together they refitted the odd-looking helmets, Alex fumbling until Donna reached over and helped with the straps. "Ready?" he asked. "Ready," she answered. The switch was thrown, lights flared, and they collapsed to the floor again. This time, they remained conscious. Alex blinked quickly, expecting the nightmare to be over. But when he looked across the floor, his own face was still staring back at him. He glanced down, the blue skirt and nylons remained. It didn't work. His words trailed off as dread filled his chest. Donna, now in Alex's tall frame, looked equally baffled. They both knew Jeff would be home from school any minute, and there was no time for another attempt. "Honey," Donna said, her voice deep, calm, and steady. "We need a plan." If Jeff walks in and sees this, we'll never be able to explain it. Alex's confidence faltered. For the first time in years, he felt completely vulnerable. Donna slipped an arm around him, her strength now literal, and pulled him close. Don't worry. We'll keep this quiet until tomorrow. Then we'll figure it out. Before Alex could reply, the front door opened and Jeff's voice rang out, Mom. Dad. I got an A on my math exam. Both parents exchanged a panicked glance, but quickly forced smiles. That's wonderful, son. Donna seized the moment. Jeff, that deserves a celebration. Let's all go out to Garbino's tonight. Jeff cheered, leaping into the air. A weeknight dinner out was rare, and he could hardly believe his luck. Back upstairs, Donna straightened a tie in the mirror, getting used to Alex's taller, broader frame. She turned to her husband, who was still uneasy in her dress and heels. Just relax, she said firmly. I'll open doors, I'll order the food. You only need to sit back and play the part. Tonight, I'm the husband. You're my wife. Alex swallowed hard. Butterflies churned in his stomach as Donna handed him a small purse. He glanced at her. She looked striking in his blue suit, while he wobbled slightly in her high heels. Taking her arm for balance, he realized why gentlemen offered theirs. At the front door, Jeff was already waiting impatiently. Come on, Mom and Dad, I'm starving. He dashed into the back seat while Donna opened the passenger door for Alex. Alex tried to sit gracefully, but his skirt rode up higher than expected. Donna noticed and quickly looked away, reminding herself that this strange situation was only temporary. She slid behind the wheel, determined to make the evening feel normal for Jeff, even if nothing was normal anymore. Dinner went smoothly until dessert, when a man at a nearby table began choking. Alex jumped up instinctively, but Donna, unencumbered by heels or a tight skirt, reached the man first. Drawing on the medical knowledge she now carried in Alex's body, she performed the Heimlich maneuver. A moment later, the lodged food was expelled, and the man collapsed back into his seat, shaken but breathing. The restaurant erupted into applause. Alex quickly joined her, checking the man's pulse and ensuring he was stable. When they returned to their table, customers were still clapping. Mr. Garbino himself came out, insisting the family's meal would be on the house. Donna politely declined, but the restaurateur wouldn't hear of it. Better to say my food saved a life than took one, he chuckled, before offering them a celebratory glass of his prized house wine. Jeff, still too young, was treated to an extra ice cream sundae. On the drive home, Jeff sat quietly in the back seat, lost in thought. His father was admired everywhere they went. Tonight proved that again. Jeff couldn't shake the feeling that he would never measure up. Mary had always excelled at school, earning perfect grades, and Jeff knew he struggled just to get by. That's when his thoughts turned to his father's mysterious learning machine. If it could really help, maybe it was the answer. A plan began forming in his young mind. At home, Donna helped Alex out of the car. The wine had left him tipsy, and walking in unfamiliar shoes didn't help. He clung to Donna's arm for balance as they made their way to the door. Jeff bounded past, kissed his mother's cheek, and hurried upstairs, already thinking about how he might get his hands on the machine. Inside, Alex looked up at Donna. For the first time since the accident, he smiled. Despite the chaos of the day, they had saved someone's life and earned the admiration of a room full of people. For a fleeting moment, the body swap didn't seem like such a catastrophe. Donna, still carrying the confidence of Alex's stature, felt a warmth rise inside her. She saw her husband's borrowed face light up with that smile and couldn't resist leaning down to kiss him. Alex was startled at first. Everything about the embrace felt strange and new, but the reassurance in Donna's eyes calmed him. He let the tension go and allowed himself to enjoy the closeness. Donna pulled him into a strong embrace, lifting him slightly off the floor as though to remind him, playfully, of how roles had reversed. Alex gasped at the unfamiliar sensation, but laughed softly as she steadied him again. For a brief moment, the strangeness of their situation melted away. They were still Alex and Donna, partners who loved each other, no matter the form they wore. Together, arm in arm, they headed upstairs. Neither knew how tomorrow's experiment would turn out, but tonight they chose comfort, closeness, and hope.